All right, so we are going to get started with this Be Inspired webinar. This is Callie, by the way. She is with me here because she probably will not bark if she's on my lap. So the purpose of these webinars, just to remind everybody, if you don't already know, is that we have a tendency when we watch ASL videos is we watch them to practice voicing, to practice our receptive skills, right? We sit there and we watch and we judge ourselves and we watch and we either voiced it well or we voiced it poorly. But we focus just on the voicing process. Or if it's receptive, the same thing. I don't understand it, or I did understand it, or yes, I got that one, I understood that one, or no, I didn't understand that one. It's all about that. It's all about either our voicing or receptive practice. But we are missing out on a really, really valuable tool, and that is this beautiful ASL that's in front of us. So we have to start getting used to putting into our practice, our regular practice, this process of actually looking at how the person is communicating. What ASL features are they using? How did they sign that concept? Would I have signed that concept in that way? No, I would have just signed it word, word, word. Wow, what a cool way to sign that concept. So those kinds of things you really want to start observing so that you can actually, in your ASL interpreting work, go, I remember that thing that person did in that video. I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. Okay, and so you can keep building up your ASL based on what you've been observing deaf people doing. Okay, so that's the purpose of that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start that then. Joan, can you hear me? I don't have a picture for you if you're there.
I don't know why my camera's not.
Okay.
I'm trying to log on my phone.
Okay, I can kind of hear you a little bit muffled, but let's start with you. What was your first observation in the video?
I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. Can I try to get on my phone and then I can be more?
No, we'll come back to you.
I'm sorry, I'm Michelle, a little.
No problem at all. And you can sign your response, or you can just unmute and talk.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle, what was an observation that you had in this video?
Trying to like unmute and I couldn't. So I've seen this a lot. We're like taking things in, working things out, you know, watching things go on, interacting. And I think I wrote down at 119, or not at 119, at 19 seconds. He said something about college. So I'm wondering how you say that. My head said like, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
like,
it is a filler.
Yada, yada, yada.
It is a filler. So like, and this and that. And really, we don't always have to have a word that associates with a specific sign. So if you were thinking about how do I voice that, you don't necessarily have to have a word for that sign. You just have to get that whole idea of and you guys can feel free to go, if you have the video pulled up on your end, you can take a look. At 19 seconds, he's saying that when he started teaching in the college, so in the college setting or at the college, I would talk about my teaching or as I went along, okay? And really, again, you could say when I got to the college, I would vlog about my teaching and things like that, or and such, or, you know, there doesn't really need to be anything else on the end of that sentence. I vlogged out my teaching, and that could really kind of cover it. Yeah. I have a client locally that I voice for. Well, I don't really voice for this person because they typically sign a voice for themselves, but that individual signs this a lot too. Oh, that person, it can be used for other things. I just thought of that. This person talks about traveling a lot. And this person says, let me just change it a little bit. So like they might say, I went to California, and I drove up to Seattle, let's say. So they might say like California, I traveled around there, and then Seattle. So they use that kind of to kind of show like the progress between one place to the next. So it is sort of a filler that kind of means and this and that and that kind of thing.
Okay, because my first thought was that it had to do, it was more like a physical thing. Like I was trying to visualize like, okay, so was he going around like kind of visiting other, like literally thinking of a person like moving. Then I thought that didn't make, it wasn't making sense. So it doesn't actually have to be a physical movement. It could just be
in such and such. Yep, exactly. And yada yada. Right, right. Did everybody see that at 19 seconds at the beginning of the video? Okay, awesome. Peggy, what's something that you had on your list?
Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect. Yep, perfect.
Okay. I just jotted down things that like we learned last week. Like for example, when he did join me, like instead of going out, you went this way, like joining me. I also noticed like when he did at the end, like he was going to post a blog frequently, and he did this, which is interesting. So that's what I was noticing. You know how when you learn a new word and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere? It's kind of like the signs. Like I'm learning all these new signs, and now when I watch these videos, I'm seeing the deaf people sign them. So that's what I picked up.
Good. That's great. That's great. One thing that why I do these kinds of webinars more often is that I noticed, especially when I would do one-on-one, I used to do a lot of one-on-one mentoring. And what was taught to me through the process of learning how to be a better mentor was that not everything needs to be pointed out. You do this, you're signing that wrong. It sometimes goes in better, absorbed better if you just mimic the sign. So for instance, if just gonna see if I can help somebody log on, just 1 second.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Sorry about this. Okay, so if I'm mentoring someone and they sign something incorrectly, I might mirror back to them. Like for example, if somebody was mentoring said, I went to college, and they signed college like this. This is one of my pet peeves, and I say it all the time. That's why I'm bringing it up. So they said, I went to college, and I might sign, well, to topicalize that sentence, you would sign college I went to, right? So I didn't point out you're signing college incorrectly. I just mimicked it by signing this. But what typically would happen when I did that is the person did not notice it, did not notice it. And so what you're doing here with you noticing join, and you're noticing these signs is you are now starting to take notice of, oh, look at all these things I just, I was just exposed to this, and then there it is. And there it is. Another thing that I noticed a lot too is saying like, both Joan and Karen.
I'm having problems, sorry.
Okay, if you click mute because your background is very, very loud.
Yeah.
And Sandra as well, just click mute. Sometimes I'll say, we'll watch a video a few times, and then I'll say, okay, so how did she sign that? Right? How did she sign that? And it might be a sign that came up many times in the video, and most people are not able to recall the way that was signed. So this process also starts to get you into that skill of being able to go, oh, wait, so I sign but all the time, but this person signs but. And then when you watch more and more videos, you'll go, well, a lot of deaf people sign fingerspelled but. That's interesting. Maybe I should start doing that, or at least I have an alternative way of doing this other sign. So great observations. Regarding this sign frequently, this sign you will see quite a lot, and it utilizes this timeline. So we have two timelines. We have this timeline, we have this timeline, and they're both exactly the same. So it really depends on your preference, but you will see deaf people use either or, so get used to seeing it. So in this case, you're using the front to back timeline, and it's referring to this spot in time and this spot in time and this spot in time. So depending on how quickly you do this is how frequent we're talking about. Like if my webinars, I host them really, really often, then I might say I host really, really frequently. Or my webinars, I host them once in a while. Okay, once in a while. And you can even wiggle once in a while, the same way you would do once in a while, once in a while. So the beauty of that sign is that where if you just think, oh, she said, I'm thinking once in a while, so I have one way to sign that, and it's this. This way incorporates more ASL elements, because now you're incorporating space as well. Rather than just signing the sign, you're now incorporating your whole timeline. And you can also manipulate that. So you can sign maybe my webinars I host once in a while. Understand right here, like recently, something happened. You know, like so you can use this timeline and keep that reference going, which is kind of nice too. I know you guys can't see my hands that well. Okay. All right. You can also do this too to show progression of time. So when I was 18, I started working at, when I was, Joan, if there's any way you can disconnect and reconnect when you can find your mute button.
Yeah.
Only because every time there's a sound, your picture comes up. Oh, you got it, perfect. Thank you. So when I was 18, I started working at Disney World, okay? And then when I was 25, I think, I graduated from college with my interpreting major, okay? So then time went on, 25, that happened, okay? So great way to show time moving on too. Awesome. We have, that wouldn't be, Michelle, that wouldn't work for that. So this for, were you just thinking out loud?
I would, not out loud, but out loud. I was going, would that work for that? And then I thought, no, that wouldn't work.
Okay, awesome.
I was just like, maybe if you did it this way?
Yeah, so that's the same exact thing. Yeah, like this way, and then time moving on. I don't like that. Yeah, but cool, yeah. Sandra, I lost, oh no, you're there. What do you have? Any observations from this video? Any? And you can sign it or you can unmute it, it's up to you. Nope, but you can sign it, it's fine. Or you can unmute, it's up to you. Okay, that's fine. No, it's fine, no problem. We're just taking turns at just sharing our observations from the video. So any ASL elements that you noted, any notes that you have about that's a new sign, or that's a really cool concept, or it's fine if you don't have it, we can go on. No problem. Sue?
Now, I was going to ask you about this sign, but I thought it was more like related to time, like time was going on. Like some of the ones he kind of did when he was talking about, like, you know, college, and, you know, he was teaching, and then, you know, and that's kind of what I got a feel for it, like kind of time was going on, and then like he went in. Could you use it for time? Or is it not used for that?
It definitely has. Let me look at it again. And I see that there's some technical issue and 3 people are stuck out of the webinar.
All right.
And I don't know why, but I see that there's some sort of issue. I can't resolve it right now, unfortunately. Okay, so let's see. There's definitely a time element the way he signs it, and I'll explain why. It's a really, really versatile kind of filler, but he's very deliberately using his timeline.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So yeah, very deliberately. It's still just and this and that, meaning what he's saying is at the college. So when I was at the college, I vlogged about teaching. So that in and of itself has time, right? Because this happened, he didn't just work at the college for a moment in time. However, whatever that is, there's time involved, right? And so it's still, and this and that until I stopped doing that. And he signs that afterward.
Right.
So because he is deliberately using the timeline this way, there is a time element to it. I don't know that I would change the way I would voice that based on that, but yes, there is a time element.
Okay, that's kind of the feel I got with it. But then when you were explaining like more different and traveling, I'm thinking, oh, you know, maybe I was really off with it. But it looked like the timeline this way that you always tell us about. So that was it.
Yes, he does.
Good. And there was one spot where he, it's at 5:31.
Okay.
5 minutes, 31 seconds. Does looks like. But I always kind of tend to do looks like, but he looked like he did looks like.
I'll double check it right now, but yeah, that's really commonly shortcutted.
Okay.
You said 5:30.
I think it's 5:31, around there, 5:30, 5:31.
Oh yeah, he actually does. Yeah. Yep. Looks like.
I know, and that's how you could do it. Like just hit the it's just short. No.
This is an interesting thing. So when deaf people shortcut things, we maintain the way you do it. Okay. And I'll tell you why. He is actually circling his finger. So even though to you it looks like he's just doing looks like circling his finger. And I am too. So my finger is rotating before I do like.
All right.
And so the way a deaf person simplifies a sign, it still maintains its acceptability. But if we go, well, it looks like he's just doing looks like.
No.
Well, totally. I'm exaggerating, of course.
Yeah.
But oops, I don't think that you can see me. There I am. So if we just go, oh, he's shortcutting it to looks like, all of a sudden we change the sign to a place that's acceptable. So you keep doing looks like, but it does end up eventually shortcutting to just looks like.
He kind of like he is, and then like, okay. All right, thank you. Those were my observations.
Awesome, thank you. Sandra, question? Okay. I think I might have emailed it, but on the mentorship page, where it says webinar, where you on today's box, right on the very bottom, it says prep material. Yeah, so that's where the video is. And I actually think I may have emailed it out too, I'm not sure, but it's there. Okay, does anybody else have any other observations they'd like to share? Yes, go ahead, Peggy.
I see that he uses 2 hands a lot. Like he does this, and he also did grab, 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 or information. There's a couple times where and also OIC. Like he uses two hands. What does that mean if you use two hands versus one hand?
I don't know why I've got it. Okay. A lot of it has to do with just preference. So certain people, everybody has a certain signing style. And so I would say that's a good observation to make. His signing style is more two-handed, which will be a slightly more formal signing style. It could be because he's an ASL teacher, and so he's used to sort of elevating his language, or maybe not elevating, but trying to, demonstrate proper ASL. That could be one reason. Now, and certainly so you're thinking information, you would sign that one-handed? Do you know where that is in the video? Okay, let me look toward the end. Let's see. I'm not seeing it. I watched the last 15 seconds or so. But the reason why I wanted to look is because what you're signing isn't necessarily information. So I'm not sure. I wanted to watch him and copy it. Maybe send. Did he sign send? Maybe? Okay. Send. You saw that in it? So send, change your sign production is the opposite. So it's you're gonna throw it at you. Send me. Oh, something is not. Do it one more time. Oh, I know what it is. It starts with an S. Oops. Yep. So you're gonna act like you're gonna throw it. You're gonna send with an S. Yeah. Yep. Send. So I'm gonna send out lots of information, or this also can mean just throw out information, like during this webinar, I have all kinds of things to share, and I'm just gonna throw them at you guys. Okay. And then the reverse is the directional sign. Throw it at me. Yep. Exactly. S. Sandra, you have a question? Okay. Okay, anybody else have any observations to share? Oh, hi, Joan, you worked. Welcome. And welcome, Deanna, although there's no picture for you. No picture. Does anybody else have any last observations to share from this video? Michelle?
I don't know, it's so much an observation as a question.
Uh-huh.
At the very end, he goes, something about have fun.
Uh-huh.
But he realizes that he signed funny as opposed to fun.
Okay.
And I was just thinking, as somebody who is voicing it, because we're behind, there's the lag time, I caught it as fun, meaning fun, but it's very obvious in his manner that he made an how would you, if you voiced it correctly, but it's obvious that the speaker's self-correcting something kind of, he was like, have fun. Oh, I mean, fun.
So you're saying, do you say the oops, or do you just correct it and just say have fun? Is that your question?
The question is, if you have, because of your lag time, as you're going along, it's, oh, have fun. And then you realize they made, now
right.
They're fixing their error after you in English have not made an error.
Right.
Do you go back and fix that? He kind of made a kind of funny little joke, kind of playful.
Oh, I see. Let me take a look at it.
So I was curious.
Let me see. So he signs have. Actually, he signs. Let me see that again. think he's actually, I'll still answer your question, but I think he's actually saying he's for some reason preferring this sign over this sign. And so he says, have fun. So I think he's actually just having a preference for fun, fingerspelling fun for some reason, and he corrects that. So in that case, I probably would just say have fun. If it were the funny thing, I might, and then okay, so if it were just have fun, right? I would probably still just voice have fun. If it became a joke, then you'd have to put that joke in there, you know, like have funny, mean, fun, you know what I mean? Like it became a thing, then you have to say, I have funny, I mean fun, and it would sound ridiculous, but you'd have to put something in there for it to work out. Yeah, good question. Yeah. Any other observations that you had in the video? Any ASL elements that were noteworthy? Anything before I go into my notes? Okay. All right. So this length of a video, potentially you could have like a massive list, and maybe some of you have more of a list than you're sharing, which is totally fine, but there should be quite a few ASL elements, everything from wow, I would never have thought to role shift that, to why in the world is he saying OIC so many times, and or why in the world, there could be a lot of things. So now that you're just getting started with this type of practice, this type of ASL analysis, challenge yourself to really see as much as possible. Okay, so, oh, you have to see this. This is adorable. So now that, okay, so in my email that I sent out, I mentioned two signs to note. Most importantly was OIC, and the other one was this. Yes, this. Sorry that I didn't spell out OIC. I don't know why I didn't. So if anybody saw OIC and thought, what in the world? That's my bad. But I meant this sign, and he signs it throughout this video quite a number of times, So I wanted you guys to pay attention to that, so that you guys could potentially start using it in a different way. So oftentimes when this sign comes up for interpreters is when somebody is talking, and then somebody will say, and so it's kind of that literal, oh, I see, but deaf people don't tend to use it that way, or deaf people use this sign a lot and more frequently for other reasons, I should say. This is perfectly fine also to say, oh, I see, but more frequently for other reasons, okay? So this sign is often used to mean a realization. Like at one point he signs, I looked back, that happened. I looked back, remembering my time as teaching in college, I think he's talking about. I looked back, So when I remembered that teaching experience, I realized that this and that and this and that, okay? So oftentimes that sign is used for a realization. So at 10 seconds, he actually role shifts. So what he's talking about is when he used to do vlogs, he would this vlog, okay? So he would learn something, note that learning. So he's using this to mean some kind of mental note, right? I learned something, an eye-opener, and then I vlog about it, okay? So notice he's not meaning OIC, or maybe he is. Maybe you could think of it as OIC in that context, because he's learning and he's thinking, oh, I see, oh, okay, and then I vlog about that, okay? So in English, that might be, I used to vlog after learning something noteworthy, something like that, or I'd vlog about my learnings, okay? So in English, that's what that sounds like. I used to vlog about my learnings, okay? And that in ASL looks like past, I blog. Okay, so see that difference? That's what you want to really note. So, Dina, if there's any way for you to click mute on yours, it's no problem, just if you can figure out the mute. So now you have a tool in your toolbox. So when somebody creates a scene like that, like I used to, I don't know, I used to call my friend when I discovered something new, okay? So instead of saying, I used to call my friend when I discovered something new, okay? You could sign, okay? Find something new, I changed it to this, but find something new, me call my friend, okay? So that's a totally different way, much more ASL way to interpret that concept, and we learned that from assessing that one little bit at the beginning of this video, okay? Let's take a look at something else he does with OIC. At 119, he says, now that I experience, now that I have experience, let me take a look at 119, and you guys can certainly go to 119 with me if you have the video up. Let's see what he does with OIC here. Now in high school, I experience, okay. So he's saying, now that I'm in the high school, whoa, do I understand what's going on. So the different movement there. So that's just that modification of that sign. Now the sign represents a vivid understanding. I absolutely get what's going on. I clearly understand how to handle high school now, okay? So to mean that really vivid, clear understanding. That's a cool one, actually. I like that. Let's see. At 2:32, he signed, so the concept is teaching high school, it was evident I had no support. Teaching high school, it was evident I had no support. So that's what I translated that section into English. And in the ASL equivalent of that, which is his version, he says, funny, me teach high school, me teach, me not have support, none, okay? So, funny, me teach high school, me not have support, none, okay? So again, that idea of, what he's doing is he's jumping himself back in that moment, feeling that moment of teaching in high school, fumbling around, trying to make do with what he has, and feeling that, like, that realization, again, that word realization comes up again, that realization of, my goodness, there's nobody out here that can help me, there's no support, nothing, you know, that kind of feeling. So he's really, it's actually more like he's doing sort of a constructed dialogue there, where he's jumping back mentally into that moment and showing that feeling of, wow, realization, wow, I have no support at all. Okay, and again, the English equivalent to that, one of many, you could do your own, but mine was, teaching high school, it was evident I had no support. So you could change that English sentence into his sentence. He does it at 2:32. Okay, at 3 minutes, he uses the sign to mean like eye-opening. He says, Deanne Bragg's videos were eye-opening, okay? So he in his kind of explaining where he finally got support from, he found Deanne Bragg's videos, I guess, about teaching in high school from the deaf teacher's perspective, and he signed something like her videos, something like that, like, wow, were they it's kind of like, if you did put OIC into this, imagine him sitting there and finally finding these videos and going, oh, I see? So that one kind of works for that. That really that eye-opening realization, that eye-opening help that he finally got from her. And at 4 minutes, he signs, I learned a lot from my research. And you see that actually used a lot with having to do with analysis or research, any kind of discovery that's going on. You see people sign, you know, analyze, you know, what you gain from research, what you gain from research is often some kind of realization. You gain, this shows what you gained from that research, okay? So think about, go back and watch how he uses the sign OIC. Really think about that. In the application video, which is the second webinar, so the second webinar we're going to apply what we discussed in this webinar. So there's a narrative in English, and I actually I only intentionally put in OICs and these, okay? I don't like to put a word to this sign because people get attached to it. So I'll just say these, okay? But note how he uses this too. Our time is running out, so he uses it at 2:05 with the concept, some states luckily have their own support groups. Some states luckily have their own support groups. So I'm gonna sign up my own, I'm not gonna copy his, but something like, some states have their own support groups. And so this represents the concept of, wow, isn't that a neat thing? Isn't that super great for them, okay? So that's the concept behind that sign for that sentence. She had great tips, okay? So instead of hearing a sentence like she had great tips and signing, she had great tips, or even her tips, topicalized, great, okay? Let's go beyond that and think about signing it maybe her tips. What a great way to show that. Okay, so review the way he signs this sign and this sign in that video, and then you can go ahead and start working now on the narrative. It's already posted. For the toolbox, it's in, I have a new newsletter, so it's in the newsletter in the toolbox, and for you mentorship folks, it's linked as prep material in the box for the next webinar. So click prep material and see how you can incorporate this sign and this sign in that narrative. But definitely review how he signs it. Even copy sign his sentences that encompass these signs so that you can really you know, take hold of these ideas these ways that these signs are used that you may not be that comfortable using them. Any final questions before we go? Great, well, thank you for showing up. I'll see if I can figure out what the technical issue was with the folks that were not unfortunately able to come tonight. And, oh, it's okay, it wasn't even you, Joan. It was, there's like 3 or 4 people that were struggling that couldn't even log in at all. So I'll try to figure out what that was. And hopefully I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Take care.